And that's, I think, what they needed to hear themselves, just to stay in Krishna consciousness. And they didn't know a lot. So every class they talked about that. And I'd say, no, what are you talking about? Not so bad. I'm having a good time. Right? And if you want to have a good time, you don't want to hear that, because that's like, it's like you're going to Disneyland and say, I just want to tell you before you go, this material world is a place of suffering. And don't forget, at any moment you could die. And have a good day. Have fun, kids. Right? So, if you want to enjoy, you consciously remove anything from your consciousness which would be a problem or an obstacle to your enjoyment. And so that's what we do. But Krishna helps us, because he's super soul. He gives us the intelligence. So any way you want to go, he'll give you intelligence. You want to be rich, he'll show you. So many rich guys, they have such good brains for making money. They're just like, they could generate 10 ideas a second, and they'd all be successful. That's what they want. Incredible ideas, almost like infallible. So we just have to be careful. And so as we're seeing here, our position is we want the strength of Balaram, and then we get his strength, Krishna Shakti. Then we're successful spiritually, and we're successful in giving people Krishna consciousness. And you really want to give people Krishna consciousness. There's no better way than being Krishna conscious yourself. Then you just become a conduit. All your realizations, Krishna will give you so many realizations, and you'll give them to people. And you'll be inspired, you'll be happy, that will inspire them. So it's really, you can't be very effective in giving Krishna consciousness if you don't have it. And you don't get it without mercy. So that's why Prabhupada said, they're criticizing me that I'm a good businessman, and that's why I spread Krishna consciousness. But here's the verse. Krishna consciousness doesn't spread by material ability, it spreads by, it's Krishna Shakti that's spreading it. And you, if you're surrendered, will get Krishna Shakti. Yes?
We say that it's like a scientific process, science of self-realization. So to me that means like you do this, and this, and you eventually get the result.
Yes.
But then it sounds like it's not the process, not you do this, and this.
Well, add to the science. So Timothy's saying it seems like we're told it's a scientific process. Do A, B, and C, you'll get the result. But now it seems like when I'm saying it differs from that. You have to add the consciousness into the scientific process, and so that's where people misunderstand. They do the process without the right consciousness. So yeah, they did everything. But it's also, if you study Prabhupada's books, you'll see that element of consciousness, of what's the right consciousness with which to do that. And then we go back to the example of chanting Hare Krishna. Okay, just chant Hare Krishna 16 rounds a day, you'll become Krishna conscious. That's true, but it's qualified. Then you go into the reified print. It can't be Namaparad, and it can't ultimately be Namabhas. Can't even be the second stage, where you're clearing offenses, but you have to come to the stage of chanting purely to please Krishna. Then you'll get Krishna consciousness. So it's all in the, everything is there, the process, but the fine print. And sometimes we don't read the fine print because it's, we feel we can't, that we're not ready to do that. But the other side of it is, then you could say, that even if you don't have the consciousness, if you do everything else, the consciousness will come. But you have to understand what that consciousness is. And so you have to nurture it along. You have to allow it to come. You can't just say, well, I'll just chant Hare Krishna because it's good for my material life. But even if you did that, eventually some desire to be more renounced will come. And then it becomes offensive if you just push it away. So no, I'm not going to become renounced. I'm just going to chant Hare Krishna. So there is a result that comes, even when you don't do it well. And that's why the Shastra says, just do it. Even if you have the wrong motive, just do it, because you'll get purified. So that's the problem, is when you're getting purified and you're not going with it. You're staying in your material consciousness. That's why Prahlad Maharaj said, Matirna Krishna Parata Svato Va Mito Vipadyeta Griha Vratanam. If you're if you want to remain in the material world and you want to enjoy it, there's nothing that can make you Krishna conscious. Because Krishna will never interfere. Krishna will only give you what you want. And he's saying that even a guru can't make you Krishna conscious. And Prabhupada would say that a lot of times. He said, somebody would leave and he would say, what can I do? So in other words, you give like you tell your kids what to do, but what more can you do other than tell them what the right thing is and try to reinforce it in any way you can. But ultimately, they're going to make a decision, especially when they're older, right? They go out, they're going to live in the world. It's all their decision now. So Prabhupada in the same way would say, what can I do? I've given the instructions. So nobody can force you to serve Krishna. Krishna won't force you. The devotee will try to. They'll try to convince you. They'll pound you in the head with knowledge, but they still can't force you, right? So everything is there within the process, and do the process, but do it correctly, because you can do it incorrectly. I think that's the real answer to you can do the process incorrectly. And so that's why, if it's not working, if you're not becoming Krishna conscious, then you go back and say, where in the process is something going wrong? There has to be something wrong in how you're applying the process, and usually it could either be externally, you're not doing it correctly, maybe you're not even pronouncing the Maha Mantra properly, maybe you're falling asleep, so that's an external thing, and then there's the internal. Maybe you're just preaching, but you're in the wrong mood, you're just thinking, wow, I'm so great, and people like me, and this is fun, and I get honor, and I get to hang out with all these beautiful young girls at the yoga studio, and you could be totally in the wrong consciousness. Right? But you're doing everything externally. It looks like you're doing everything right. So that's part of the process. The most important part of the process. Because just like Krishna says, Patra pushpam palam toyam, offer me fruit, flower, leaf, or water. But what's the important point in that verse? Bhak uparitam, with love and devotion. That's the most important part of the verse. So you say, I've been offering fruit, flowers, leaves, and water to Krishna for 20 years, and I'm totally in Maya. Yeah, well, you forgot the next line of the verse, which was the most important part, love. And you can see that in any relationship. Sometimes couples are not happy, and the husband will say, but I do everything for you, and the wife will say, yeah, you got the house, and you got the car, and all this, but you don't have any affection, you don't show affection. So she'd be happier if he just showed affection and didn't have the house. Right? Well, Krishna's the same. It's not the fruit, flower, or water. I mean, Krishna loves tulsi leaves, but it's the affection with which it's offered that's attractive. Or we say that's the spice, that's the appetizer for Krishna, the devotion. That's what makes him want to eat it. But he's not attracted, just to offer something. If you offer something, just to say I've offered it to Krishna, it doesn't really attract him. Okay. This Balaram comes with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and both of them are so merciful that in this age of Kali, one may very easily take shelter of their lotus feet. They come especially to deliver the fallen souls of this age. Papi tapi yata chilo harinam udarilo. Their weapon is Sankirtan Harinam. Means their weapon is the Maha Mantra. Because what Prabhupada is saying is, Krishna comes in Bhagavad Gita. Why does Krishna come? He says, I come to give mercy to the devotees. So Krishna comes, how does he give mercy? He gives his instruction in Bhagavad Gita, and he performs his pastimes. And his pastimes give great pleasure to the devotees, and his pastimes give great pleasure to devotees who have lived for the last 5,000 years because they can hear. So I come to give pleasure. And Prabhupada said that's the real reason Krishna comes, is to give pleasure. But it's also his duty to maintain dharma, religious principles. So how does he do that? There are so many demons that were coming to Vrindavan, so Krishna kills them. So he says, I come to deliver the pious, annihilate the miscreants. So he was protecting the residents of Vrindavan and protecting the world by annihilating the miscreants. So here, the example is given, Lord Chaitanya comes, and he's also avatar, and the avatars, they annihilate the miscreants. So how does he annihilate the miscreants in the age of Kali? What's his weapon? His weapon is Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And how does that annihilate the miscreants? It annihilates their miscreant mentality. So that's how it's said he kills in Kali Yuga through the holy names, and he kills the demoniac mentality. In the story of Jagai and Madhai, Lord Nityananda said, please don't kill, I think it was Madhai, please don't kill him, because everyone in this age is just like him. Everybody is, a miscreant is sinful. And if you kill him, you'll have to kill everybody. So better give mercy. So Madhai, they both surrendered. Their hearts changed when they saw the mercy of Nityananda, and they surrendered. And Lord Chaitanya accepted them. He said, if you don't commit any more sin, I'll accept you. And they became purified. And they became devotees. So they were killed by the weapon of the holy name and Lord Chaitanya's mercy. That's the weapon. So when you're going out and giving people Krishna consciousness, you can see there's people change. Their mentality changes as they become purified. And so you see, you're actually killing this mentality. Thus, one should accept the sword of knowledge from Krishna and be strong with the mercy of Balaram. So we have knowledge from the Gita and other Shastra, and then by the strength of Balaram, we can carry this knowledge, we can realize this knowledge, we can give it. Otherwise, just because you have knowledge doesn't mean you understand, and doesn't mean you realize anything. You have to have mercy to understand it. Sometimes you're reading something and you're like, I don't understand this. And you just keep praying to Krishna. You keep chanting and praying. And sometimes, if we're fortunate, Krishna helps us understand. Or he'll send somebody, or we'll end up with some devotee, and the devotee will talk to us about that very thing we're trying to understand. One way or other, you get it. That means it comes to you. So Krishna consciousness, it's coming down, it's coming to us. It's not like because you're so great, you're going to get Krishna. But it's coming down to you. But your sadhana and everything qualifies you as a recipient. You're able to get it. Krishna will see you because you want it. Here, Prabhupada's passing out cookies. Give me one. If you can get your hand in front of everybody, then you get a cookie. That's the secret when people are passing anything out. Just get in there. Sometimes on the altar, like on Janmashtami, a lot of times after the midnight artik, there'll be so many things on the altar, fruits and whatever, and they'll pass them out. So you go up there, right, in front of everybody, put your hand up there and you'll get it. So when you get it, you didn't deserve it, it was just given to you, right? But how it was that you got it, you were anxious to get it, you went to the front. So that's the effort part. So Krishna sees, oh, there's a hand, they want it. Okay, here. Now you get something, which is greater than what you could have achieved. Oh, because all you did was just get to the front and stick your hand out. You didn't magically create an orange or a mango, right? That was all you could do, and then it comes. So that the process is, follow the process. That's putting your hand out. Then the mercy comes. And so prayer is putting your hand out. Chanting is putting your hand out. Doing service, everything's putting your hand out. The sword of knowledge, Krishna gives you, and then by the mercy of Balaram, Nityananda, Guru, Prabhupada, you get realization. Without it, it's like, there's so many people, hey, Bhagavad Gita inside out, but they don't understand it at all. They don't have a clue. Who is Krishna? What is Krishna saying? One cannot attain the goal of life without the mercy of Balaram. It's another lecture, Prabhupada, it's a purport, and Prabhupada's saying the same thing. He quoted the same verse that we've been reading. Nayamatma balahinena labhyo. One cannot attain the goal of life without the mercy of Balaram. Sri Narottam Das Thakur therefore says, Nitayera karuna hobe braje radha Krishna pabe. When one receives the mercy of Balaram, Nityananda, one can attain the lotus feet and Radha and Krishna very easily. So how can you understand Radha and Krishna? How can you attain their lotus feet? You can't, but you need mercy of a devotee. So when you get the mercy of Prabhupada, you're getting the mercy of Nityananda, Balaram. When you get the mercy of the Guru or any Vaishnava, you're getting the mercy of Nityananda, Balaram. That's how it works. And that's how we advance. Then we, fallen souls of Kali Yuga, can have some realization and understanding of Radha and Krishna. And not only understanding, but a desire to be someday as in one of the four relationships with Krishna. That's, just having that desire, that's amazing. Jeremy. So maybe I'll see you on Wednesday if I come back. Otherwise, we'll see you in Mexico. Jai. Thank you. Hari Bol. Keep up the good work. Carry the sword of knowledge. So, you see, Radha and Krishna, and all Krishna's pastimes, as we know, they're transcendental. But what does transcendental mean? Transcendental means that they're not material. So what does that mean? It means that they're not understood by material mind. So like nobody can understand those pastimes unless they have mercy. It's impossible. You just won't. You have any idea. Radha and Krishna together, you'll just think of boys and girls and think, what is this? How could this be God? This is crazy. God must be, like 500 feet high, he must have a thunderbolt, you just won't understand. It'll be because it's transcendental, it has nothing to do with the material, and if we're in material consciousness, we have to mold it to fit within material conception. Well, God's great, He's powerful, so He must be big, He's the oldest, so He must be old, right? And how God's not enjoying, God's religion is all about rules, right? Good Catholic, all about rules, right? So God must be like the protector of rules, the administrator of rules, and the punisher of those who don't follow the rules. This is material conception. I'm a recovering Catholic. That's not so bad. I'm a recovering Baptist. That's worse. I was told I was going to hell every day of my life since the age of 3. I am a demented living entity now. And I'm going to Baptist recovery groups for the last 20 years. So that's what we're dealing with. So then there's Radha and Krishna. And then the first is like, well, how can God be a she? Then you have to deal with that, right? And how can God be blue? You have to deal with that. And how could God play? God plays with His friends. You have to deal with that. And God has girlfriends, and His girlfriends have husbands. That's like, that's already off the chart that you're already off of when you finally accepted that God's not doesn't have a gray hair and a beard, and He's not some giant. That took you years to get over that one. So, but one of the things we see in Krishna consciousness, which it always amazes me, but this explains it, is that Western people, they come to the temple, right, and they don't know anything. They go in the temple. They don't even know their deities on the altar. They don't even see them. They just look at the altar as like a blur, some flowers or something, right? It takes a while before they even realize there's deities there. And then there's Tulsi. We're worshiping a plant. That's like very far out. It's very weird. And and just doing puja in general is not something we're used to in the West so much. Offering a flame, why a flame? 90% of the devotees don't even know why we're doing that. I don't know. It's lights Krishna up, whatever. No, but the lights are on. I don't know. It's what you do. It says to do it. Yeah. No, it's one of the elements you're offering Krishna. Why do you ring the bell? It's music. Oh, okay. I didn't know that. Whatever. So, but one of the things you see very clearly is that even very, very new people, if they're sincere to advance spiritually, even if they don't know what that means, if they're sincere, this spiritual energy comes down and they begin to understand, and all of a sudden they see the deities on the altar, and then they start becoming attracted, and they have some realization that Krishna is manifesting through the deity. They have a realization that Krishna is manifesting through the holy name. That Tulsi, they have some realization that Tulsi is a pure devotee. They're feeling, oh, I was chanting my rounds in front of Tulsi and I was feeling something special. This is all the spiritual energy coming down, giving these realizations, which are transcendental, which you can't get by thinking God's an old man with a beard, so he's old, so he must be an old man with a beard. That's all here. That's not coming from the transcendental position. So when it comes and you see these very young devotees, they have very deep realizations. It's amazing. It's just completely amazing that so quickly they get so much. But that's coming from Krishna. And Krishna can give, if Krishna is giving it, he can give all kinds of information very quickly, right? That's my experience. So that's what's happening. Now, understanding that's what's happening, then we want to put ourselves in that position where we can get that mercy. Because if it's happening to a young devotee, what to speak, if I practice sincerely, then how much more I can get. And then if you can come to this point where you understand Radha and Krishna, it's not male, female, boy, girl. That's not easy to understand. If you can understand the deeper nature of Krishna's love for the gopis, that dancing with those women, other men's wives, has nothing to do with stealing men's wives and enjoying, but it is the highest manifestation of pure affection. If you can understand that, that only can happen by Krishna's mercy. You can't understand it any other way. You can read every book, and you still won't understand it. So when we're studying scripture, but that's also the other side of that study, is we realize, please Krishna, help me understand this. It's not just words on a page. I need your mercy to understand this. That's the attitude of the devotee. So the devotee prays to Balaram Nityananda, his spiritual master, Prabhupada, please help me. I'm dependent. That's what Prabhupada's making. Here, and then Prabhupada says, if one has no connection with Nitai Balaram, then even though one is a very learned scholar or jnani or has taken birth in a very respectable family, their assets will not help them. So all these material things don't help you because it's transcendental. We must therefore conquer the enemies of Krishna consciousness with the strength received from Balaram. External enemies, internal enemies. Anyway, there's so many documents. That's just one. So we can. If there are any questions, I'll go on the internet and see if anybody out there has any questions. Here's your big chance. Or comments. Okay. One more site. We have to go to 2 sites. I have to go to my own site. Wow. They're dancing on Mayapur TV. There's a question here. There was a question which was asked in the Sunday lecture, how does one practice humility? Someone said, by sincerely practicing these Madhavatitis, like Balaram Jayanti, Ekadasi, if we do that, we will become humble. The answer was not discredited. Could that actually be? Well, I think maybe the misunderstanding is that just by doing that you'll become humble. By doing anything in Krishna's service you'll become humble, because part of what humility means is to acknowledge that Krishna's controlling and He's supreme. So it kind of makes you humble when you fast, because you're fasting for somebody, and you're worshiping on all these, obviously you're worshiping Krishna and Balaram in these appearance days. So humility, humility doesn't only mean awareness of your faults, it also means awareness of your position as not a controller and you're not so great. So in that sense, yes, that's true. Because it just puts you, you know who you are. You're, if you go to a birthday party and it's not your party, then you got to worship the other person. So it's not about you. So if you're not humble, don't go to the birthday party. If you're envious of that person, don't go to their birthday party. So don't go to Janmashtami if you're envious of Krishna, because he's the one that's going to be worshipped. So that sense of humility. A broader answer is anything you do in Krishna consciousness will make you humble. But like I was saying before, the process works, but you have to allow it to work, because sometimes we don't allow it to work. We drop the acid in it. So I don't want to be humble. So the process will make you humble. So my typical answer is always, I think, the foundational principle is that if this answer is going to, if we accept this answer, which I think we should accept, but how's it going to work? By wanting to be humble. Because if you don't want to be humble, then no one's going to make you humble. You have to want it. So if you actually want to be humble, then all these activities in bhakti will help you become humble. And if you don't want to be humble, then the same activities, you do the same thing. You'll just become proud of how great you are. Look what I did. Nobody's distributed as many books as I've distributed. What's wrong with everybody? Aren't they Krishna conscious? No. Get it together. Then your book distribution just causes you to become proud. That's all. Because you don't want to be humble. So, like that. So, as long as you want to be humble, Guru Nishta, everything will make you humble. So, any other questions? They can't ask questions on the phone?
Oh no, they were just on my book.
Oh, anyone else have a question? You want me to read a few more things? Want me to read something esoteric? Here's a story. It's a story about Madhvacharya. Madhvacharya is one of the main gurus in our disciplic succession. And he was in Udupi, and he was sitting by the beach, and he saw a ship coming from Dwarka, and there was a storm. So the ship needed directions. They were, I guess, lost, and so he directed them to the shore. And he actually saved them. So the merchants wanted to reward him, and he was a sannyasi, so he said, I don't need anything. And he said, but I could use some gopi chandan. Gopi chandan it's earth, sacred earth, like we're wearing on our forehead. I believe it comes from Dwarka, where Krishna has walked. It's like a yellow clay. And it can also be used in worshipping deities to decorate and particularly mix with lemon juice to polish the deities. So that's what, it comes from Dwarka. So, yeah, okay. So, do you have Gopi Chandan? The boat's coming from Dwarka, Gopi Chandan comes from Dwarka. I get to use some Gopi Chandan. And they had it. They were using it on the ship, not for worshipping Krishna, but for a ballast that was Gopi Chandan. So, they gave him 3 big Gopi Chandan boulders. And somehow or other, when they broke apart, inside each of them was a deity. One was Lord Krishna, and that deity is worshipped in Udupi, where he was. The next one was Balaram, worshipped in a place called Bhada Bhandeshwara, and the third one was the deity of Janardhan, worshipped in a temple near Udupi. And so, Madhvacharya worshipped Lord Balaram. Want to hear something else?
Sure.
So there's a song that goes like this: Dauji Kanaya Krishna Kabaya, Dauji Kanaya Krishna Kabaya. O beloved Balaram, brother of Krishna, Dauji Kanaya Krishna Kabaya. Oh, beloved of Balaram, brother of Krishna. It's a song they sing in Vrindavan and other places. Balaram conceives of himself first and foremost as Krishna's friend. However, within his sense of fraternal love for Krishna, he also conceives of himself as both Krishna's servant and Krishna's guru. Thus he serves Krishna from above, below, and in between. His Sakya Bhav, that means his friendship relationship, is Sankula, or mixed with Dasya, servitorship, and Vatsalya. So he has these three relationships. He serves Krishna, he's a friend, but he has this motherly affection, because he's the older brother. Friendship, service, and paternal affection. Balaram is a Kanda Guru Tattva. Kanda means everything. That is, he personifies the principle of teaching all souls how to serve Krishna. All scripture glorifies the service of Krishna, and thus they are glorifying Balaram, because he personifies service, and whatever exists is a manifestation of his potency. So everything in Krishna's pastimes, as we're saying, like the clothes and shoes, and everything is manifestation of Balaram. And that's how he serves Krishna. In the forest of Naimisharanya, during the recitation of the Puranas and Srimad Bhagavatam had not yet manifested. So there was an assembly of sages in this forest, and they were reciting the Puranas and Mahabharata, but Sukadeva Goswami had not come yet to recite the Bhagavatam. The speaker, Romarshan Sutta, did not stand up when Balaram arrived. So Balaram came, the sages were sitting, and the speaker should have stood up to honor Lord Balaram. That's part of the culture. When a superior comes, you stand up. Like in Indian schools, teacher comes, everyone stands up. That's the culture. So he didn't stand up. Romarshan Sutta did not stand up when Balaram arrived. Balaram is the guru of all gurus. He is also the guru of Vyasadeva, who is the guru of Romarshan Sutta. By offending Balaram, Romarshan Sutta exhibited that he was not actually part of a Kanda Guru Tattva, and he was killed. The son of Romarshan Sutta was Ugrashava Sutta, or Sri Sutta Goswami. By Balaram Prabhu's placing his hand on Sutta Goswami's head, all the scriptures manifested in his heart. So Balaram is the supreme guru, and Romarshan Sutta was not representing him properly, so he had to be eliminated as not a proper guru. Then his son came, Sutta Goswami, and then he touched his head, and then by the mercy of the guru, all the knowledge was manifest. So again, it goes back to that point. Any realization you have, ultimately it's the mercy of Guru, mercy of Prabhupada, mercy of Nityananda, mercy of Balaram. Because otherwise it's just knowledge, just words on a page, that's it. This is the actual process. Unless the bona fide Guru gives mercy, real knowledge cannot manifest in the heart of the disciple. Yeah, there's so much we could read. Anyway, so maybe we should end. Any other question, anybody? One last check. until all the anarthas enter. Yeah, until all the Pallavi's saying, until all the anarthas go from your heart, then Krishna prema follows. Well, it follows not immediately, but after a while. There are other stages you go through, because all the anarthas don't go away. They go away slowly. But at a certain stage, when most of them go away, then your bhakti gets going faster. It's like, there's so much weight. You're carrying all this weight, you're climbing up a mountain. If you can get rid of the weight, you can climb up faster. So, maybe you're carrying 60 pounds, But so if you're carrying 8 pounds or 12 pounds, then you're good, you can go fast. But, after 3 hours of 12 pounds, it still hurts a little bit. So the anarthas are like that, they're weighing you down. So gradually they go, and it gets easier in Krishna consciousness. But when you get to the stage of ruchi where you have taste, then naturally, because there's taste, it's just easier, because you really like doing it all the time, not sometimes. And when people have taste, they chant more rounds. It just happens naturally. They want to do it. Okay? Guru Nishta, I think tonight I'm not going to make it to do the class. Maybe Wednesday night. Might be possible. We can see. So I'm actually supposed to meet my sister around that time, and I don't even know at that time if I'll have internet connection. And that is also, it's Balaram's, it's not a good time, because everyone might be at the temple for Balaram. So why don't we just cancel and everybody know, and we will try to do it Wednesday night. Okay? So thank you all for attending. We will see you maybe Wednesday night. Hare Krishna. Balaram Jayanti ki jai. Go Premanandi. Hari Hari Bol. Jai.